What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with the final track on the 2005 album Shake Your Body Politic by Bombs Over Providence. Thank you again to Chris for sharing and for the patience, as I've taken, I think, roughly 2 years to get through this. But the final track is another one with a hilarious name, which is Class Aptitude Test Results Are In, and it's Martyr or Matador for everyone. Do I have that right? Make sure I have that right. For everybody. But yes, it's, again, quite hilarious and very verbose. So, okay, Class Aptitude speaks to the level of ability or skill of whatever class we're referring to. But then for the categories, at least the categories that have hits to be Martyr or Matador, is another layer of comedy, and I don't quite know what to make of it. But again, Chris did make the lyrics available, so once I listen and try to make sense of what I've heard, I'll then go through and look at the lyrics. So he did also mention that there's a dead spot at the end of the track, after which there's a recording from maybe some adult film, so we'll cut it off after the proper song ends. In any case, let's give it a listen. This is Bombs Over Providence, the final track on Shake Your Body Politic, their only proper album. And it's Class Aptitude Test Results Are In, and it's Martyr or Matador for everybody.
Keep down to the beat of walls coming down. Reach in for the supernatural. Tell that to the kid and just join. Get up.
onset of something that might make the video get blocked. We'll pause it, or we'll end the reaction proper. So, okay, number one, I've spent the whole album talking about other bands they remind me of, and I suppose the ultimate assessment was it's somewhere between Propagandhi, Anti-Flag, and Rise Against. But I do now feel, having heard a full album, that they really had a distinct style, even if, parts of it remind me of some other different bands. So I feel like if they had another album, and if you played me a 10 or 15 second snippet of a song from some hypothetical future album, I feel like I would be able to recognize, like, wait, that's Bombs of Providence, right? So, yeah, it's a shame that they didn't stick together for longer, but another one where you can feel the emotion and passion. I didn't catch a lot of the lyrics. I did hear what sounded like pickup sticks and other games of statecraft, which I feel like already there's some interesting ways to interpret that, but I'll wait till I read the lyrics. But definitely, not only do we get some different vocal stylings, the shouted, screaming type vocals mixed with the more like sung straight away vocals, even if, sort of in a punk rock style, but then also like some spoken reflective vocals, including the line, "What are we waiting for?" which sounds like there's a disparity between possibility and perception, and not in a good way, or in a way that suggests that there's an opportunity that's currently being missed and might pass by before action is taken. So yes, I do wonder how that all stitches together, but I'll say a really compelling album, and one which, suggests that there's a real cleverness and comedy in the lyrics and especially the titles of the album, but again, seemingly with some political and social and cultural critique and insight in the process. So let's take a look at the lyrics, and once again, shout out to Chris for sharing, for the patience, and for the providing of the lyrics. Okay, so here we go. Keep time to the beat of walls coming down. 3 cheers for the Supernational. I did hear Supernational. Tell that to the kid who just joined cadets. Breastfed on state-sponsored radio. Okay, speaking to like young folks who, end up being tools of the state and, serving with their lives and their time and their, energy and indeed maybe their life in a more fatal sense. Look at that, us troublemakers got a problem again. I never knew where or when. The boundless world lost appeal to me by the terms of the enemy. Chance alone has placed us here. Our parents' pride condemned us to cross our fingers while we sing these anthems. I did hear the cross our fingers, but not the rest of that line. While we sing these anthems, every banner, every flag, I'll help you burn them up, which, again, is very anti-flag, in a direct sense, but also conceptually, and, I suppose, again, Propagandhi and others that are very wary of and critical of nationalism. I cross my heart and hope to tear my tongue out. Wow. I'm meek and I'm calling dibs on everything. Next stop, not victory, but much worse, Parliament Hill. This form has a function, but a simple deduction to see the effects of pickup sticks and other games of statecraft. I did hear that correctly. All glowing hearts, dare you consider the truth of pride worth less, 2 words, than what little we've done to our own actions. Such white science abroad, progress with a wink and a nod. Oof. One road, or progress with wink and a nod. One road from the port to the mine to the capital, and mine, maybe meaning like a digging endeavor. It's easy enough to want more when you have it all. I'll lead this parade of thieves, still refusing to grieve the loss of millions for something we've always laughed at. Now who's the sucker left holding the flag? What are we waiting for? I'm done with picking teams. I've got some kerosene and matches aren't hard to procure. I've got some kerosene and matches aren't hard to procure. So again, like burning down the symbols, the flags, and the entire system itself. Grab the loosest thread, thread and run. Sing hard, think loud, I dare you. Run up the flag, run hard, and plant it through your heart. These dreams are as far-fetched as the nearest nation state. Grab the loosest thread and run. Grab the loosest thread. Grab the loosest thread and run. So yes, definitely sounds like it's in critique of nationalism and the blind or naive service of national destructive and exploitative processes and systems by young folk and others who would be better served devoting their lives or living their lives for, let's say, more constructive, more harmonious, and more creative endeavors that would not be as perpetuating of the systems of brutality and destruction and exploitation that have characterized all of recorded human history right up into the present. And thus there's a rebellious streak tinged through the lyrics that suggest, the only way to get rid of this is to burn it down, to burn down not only the systems but the symbols and the rallying points, the flags that embody all that destruction and brutality but are turned and seen as symbols of national pride and things to serve under and so on. So again, very punk rock and very anti-flag, very propaganda, rise against. I do feel like the touchstones through which I've interpreted this album in relation to other bands that I'm familiar with are perhaps well chosen. In any case, I very much enjoy the final tune. I very much enjoy the album. Shout out to you again, Chris, and to any others who've been following this deep dive. As I said, this is the only proper album, so it's not like there's another album waiting. But yes, I'm glad to know them. I'm glad to have this album. Shout out to Chris. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.